Welcome back to the Ancient Path. In the last couple of videos, we've been talking about this phrase, I believe in one God, Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. We've specifically been talking about how God is omnipresent, He's everywhere, and how He is omnipotent, He is all-powerful. We've been looking at how His grace is contending with us so that we will choose Him and so that we will choose what is right, just, loving, and holy. Today, I want to take a closer look at the end of this phrase, of all things visible and invisible. The truth is, God is not the only one who is contending for our souls. What has God created that is invisible? Well, I'm sure there are probably many things that I don't know anything about, but one thing is angels. Angels are only visible to us if they choose to show themselves. It should be noted, however, that there was a fall before the fall of humanity. There was an angelic fall. Lucifer and his minions fell from heaven. These spirits are also contending for human hearts. That's why we say our enemies are the world, aka the systems of this world, the flesh, our fallen natures, and the devil, invisible demonic spirits. With that in mind, let's take a look at a passage from the book of Daniel. Daniel, in this passage, is troubled and he is seeking God in prayer. As a matter of fact, he is fasting from choice foods and seriously waiting on the Lord in prayer. He is seeking God's face. Then, after 3 weeks, this angel shows up and answers Daniel. Let's pick up the story in Daniel chapter 10, verses 11 through 14. And the man said to me, Daniel, you are precious to God, so listen carefully to what I have to say to you. Stand up, for I have been sent to you. And when he said this to me, I stood up still trembling. Then he said, don't be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day that you began to pray for understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your request has been heard in heaven. I have come to answer you in prayer. But for 21 days, the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia blocked my way. Then Michael, one of the archangels, came to help me, and I left him there with the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia. Now I am here to explain what will happen to your people in the future, for the vision concerns a time yet to come. Notice that it seems that Daniel, as soon as Daniel humbled himself in prayer and in this type of fasting, God chose to answer his prayers. The angel was dispatched to come to Daniel immediately, but the angel was resisted by another angel or a demon, so that Daniel did not get his answer until 3 weeks later. So notice there is more than just God and Daniel in this equation. There appears to be some demonic spirit that has significant power in the region of Persia. Oftentimes we think of life and what happens in our world as simply being a situation of God and us. So what I want you to see here is that there are more free wills at play than just God and me. There are powerful, invisible free wills that are operating to thwart the will of God, to thwart God's best in your life and in mine. Therefore, as we mentioned in a previous video, God is contending with human hearts to bring about His good and beautiful and loving kingdom. But unfortunately, God is not the only one who is contending for human hearts. Invisible demonic presences are also at work for human hearts. So God is not cold and distant and unconcerned about children who are being abused. He cares deeply about the unborn who are aborted and the mothers who think they have no other way. He cares about the lives of black men who are mistreated because they are black. He cares about the lives of cops who are at greater risk because of a few bad cops who abuse their power. God's Spirit contends with every human heart against racism, sexism, abuse, and all types of immorality. His Spirit contends with our hearts so that we will choose His holiness and not look at pornography, so that we will honor God with our bodies. His Spirit contends with our hearts so that we will make choices that will welcome and advance His kingdom. So where is God when a child is being molested? God is everywhere. So His grace is moving police officers to actively seek to stop any person who would do such evil. His grace is working on the evil person's heart so that, like Cain, they have a chance to repent before they do such an evil act. God's grace is also working on the heart of judges and those in the legal system so that people are not free to continue to do that kind of evil. He is also right there with the child so that the child does not have to go through such a horrific experience alone. Why doesn't God just stop it? He has given us free will. And if we are truly free, He can't just stop us every time we choose to use our free will in a way that grieves His heart. Otherwise, He hasn't given us free will at all. But there are also other wills besides our own and God's who are working for the destruction of humanity and human culture. There are also other fallen human wills that are at play, that are operating from a self-centered rather than God-centered place. But His grace is at work so that we would be free to choose to do what is right, what pleases Him. Lastly, we need to ask the question, why would God give us this freedom anyway? We were made for love, and love requires choice. No one can authentically love another person if they don't really have the choice not to love that person. I believe that is why God gave Adam and Eve one prohibitive commandment. He wasn't trying to micromanage them. He simply wanted them to have the choice to obey Him for the simple reason of loving Him. I can't really love God and my neighbor if I don't have a choice not to love them. I can't receive God's love if I don't truly have a choice and freedom to reject God's love. God sees and God cares, and His Spirit is contending so that we will choose to receive His love and to love Him and those around us so that His kingdom advances around us, so that it is on earth as it is in heaven.